Hello again. Okay, right, so as you can see, I've moved the painting on quite a bit from the last time you saw it in the last demonstration. I've built up in the semi-transparent thin layers, allowing the paint to get slightly thicker each time. You'll also notice I've altered the background quite a bit. So I've now lost all of those grid lines, and all of the lines of the drawing have now receded back into the painting. So it's getting there. It's getting to a stage now where I'm sort of fairly pleased with it. What I want to do now, though, I've built up these layers so far just using acrylic mixed with water, various amounts of water, to achieve the various effects. But just as a finisher, I'd like to introduce a painting medium. This is acrylic retarder. This is my favourite medium to use with acrylics. What it does is it essentially slows the drying time down, which allows you to work more wet into wet, so that the acrylic doesn't dry as quickly as it usually does. Sometimes that can be quite difficult to work with if you're trying to build up detail. If the paint dries too quickly, that's really difficult. So this stuff really helps. It also helps with the flow of the paint, and really helps to achieve a more kind of semi-transparent, viscous quality to the paint. So you don't have to, you're not working so much with water. Okay, so the other good thing about it is, because of the semi-transparency, you're almost able to achieve what's known as a glaze finish over the some of these brush strokes. So it's kind of unifies the whole thing. It's difficult, this one, to kind of demonstrate, especially on camera. So I'm just going to try, and I hope you can see it okay. I'm quite pleased with the sort of open brushwork effect of it, and it's got kind of a nice kind of energy to it at the moment, so I don't want to lose that. I don't want to overwork it, but I would like to maybe, I don't know if you can see on my my reference photo here, that I've achieved it a little bit with the paint at the bottom, but there's actually more of a sort of pinky purple cast over the whole kind of bottom of the teapot there and the spout. So I'm going to try and achieve that with the retarder. And so what I'm going to do is I've just picked up some of the medium on my brush there, and I'm just taking it to this little puddle of a violet mixed with a little blue. And so I want it to be that thin. I want to be able to see right through it. I don't want it any thicker than that, because what I'm going to do is put a sort of pinky purple cast over these brush marks, just to kind of unify it. And I don't know if it's going to translate well on camera. I'm going to do my best. Let's see. Mix a bit of white, tiny bit of white. White tends to be more opaque, So I don't want it to be, oh, that's better. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm only really influencing the colours underneath by putting this sort of very thin pinky purple cast over the bottom there. Just to kind of unify and refine. I've actually changed the brush as well to be more of a square tipped brush, because I quite like the blunt brush marks that you can achieve with it. But, you know, it's all about experimentation with painting, you know, trying different materials and equipment as well as paints and colours. And that's, you know, that's the fun part of it, I think, for me anyway. So I've just added a tiny bit of red there, just to kind of quite nice. Put a bit there on the spout as well. So as you can see, you know, it's not affecting the blue pot as such. It still reads as a blue teapot, even though I'm applying these other colours to it. And just want to put a few, to make that, give that a bit more form and depth. As I say, I don't want to overwork this, because I do quite like it as it is. It's very easy to do, is to suddenly, you know, get a bit overzealous and just end up overworking something. But it's a very personal thing. I mean, only you can decide when something is finished. Okay. Also, I just want to be able to do the same thing with a little bit of the medium and a bit of the white, just to kind of give more of a feel of the play of light over the pot. I know I've already got some highlights in there, but just to kind of describe the play of light a little bit more. Just on that lid there, it's a bit thick. You see how it's still transparent, so you can see that, see the colour underneath. You know, I'm not losing any of that. All I'm doing is really knocking it back. A little bit on the spout there, and on the top of the handle. It's just where the light, oh, that's a bit wrong there. It's just where the light kind of plays over the surface of all these different surfaces of the teapot. So it's important to kind of just try and let your brush describe them as best as you can, really. You know, painting is a very intuitive process, you know. have to sort of make decisions about things all the time and readjust and modify until it looks how you want it to look. And that's the other important thing to point out when you're working from reference photographs, is ultimately you don't want your finished piece to just be a, you know, a facsimile of the image that you're working from. You want to make it your own, add elements to it, because at the end of the day nobody's going to see your reference picture, are they? You know, so it doesn't have to be, you know, it's a tricky one. I'm just going to stroke a bit more of the yellow there into it as well. Perhaps. Right, so I'm just going to bring this to a finish now, because otherwise, again, the recording's going to be far too long, which makes it hard to upload it. I just felt it was important just to introduce this medium and what it can do. And how it can help. Okay. It needed to dry back slightly. That's better. Right. So there it is. There's my painting. I'm going to leave it there and just turn it to the camera. So I hope you can see.